All right. We are here on a Monday. Thank you guys for hanging out. Do me a favor, hit the share button real quick if you're listening on Spaces. Um, there's just a lot of takes on the timeline. I want you, this is really for you guys. I mean, the Spaces are always for you guys, just to let you know. But yeah, this is more for y'all. I feel like you guys need this more than I do to maybe vent a little bit, have a little bit of a therapy session, and then I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to move on to bigger and better things. This weekend was rough for the football team, but life goes on. We live to play another down, live to play another game, and we're in good shape, right? Florida State 4-1 right now. I don't think there's anybody I think life in football in general is about like balancing expectations and all this stuff. Like everything changes, right? Your expectations change week by week. What you think about the team changes week by week. What you expect week by week changes. And so I think in life, there's any kind of situation like this, like there's a healthy balance of adjusting expectations, but also understanding like where we're at, right? And so I think there's the balance of saying, hey, anyone in this space would have taken 4-1 to start the year when we started out, right? Like nobody in here would have complained if I would have offered you 4-1. Like none of you would have said like, nah, 5-0 or I'm out. So there's the balance of being grateful for that and also being disappointed because you missed an opportunity to get to 5-0. It's not all one or the other, like the timeline will make you think that it is. There's a little bit of both, right? At the end of the day, they're still 4-1. They have an excellent opportunity to go on the road this weekend and pick up a big win. It's going to be tough, but they have a great opportunity to go do that. And so that's where we're at, right? Like have a little bit of perspective, right? Last year at this time, we were 1-4. And so let's calm it just a little bit. Now, I will say, and we'll talk a little bit about Wake today, but I mostly want to move on. Again, hit the request button, hit the share button, hit my DMs, hit the comments here on YouTube if you're over there, hit the subscribe button. I do think that Florida State really needs to find a way to steal one of these two games coming up, right? I just think that if you can find a way to steal one of these two games between NC State and Clemson, you avoid getting back to 4-3, which is where we don't want to be, and you give yourself a great chance to stay ahead of schedule. All right, if you lose these two games, I still think you're on schedule. We all predicted like 7-5, 8-4 type seasons. If you go 8-4, you might lose the bowl game to get to 8-5. If you go 7-4, you probably win the bowl game to get to 8-5. Right? So we all predicted that. So if you lose these two games, you're still on schedule. Like I think Florida State, at worst, goes 3-2 in their last 5 games and probably goes 4-1. I think they've got a great chance to go 4-1. I think they beat Georgia Tech. I think they beat Louisiana. I think they beat Miami. And then worst case scenario, I think you split with Florida and Syracuse. And so, well, that would just put us on schedule, right? That would put us at 8-4 if you were to lose these next two. So anyway, life's all about perspective. The season's all about perspective. I still think at this moment we're ahead of schedule. Like nobody had us going 4-1. The team is 4-1 right now. If they can show up and find a way in Raleigh, in Tallahassee, under the lights, 7:30 kickoff on ABC, they can find a way to win either one of these two games, they'll be fine. They're ahead of schedule. They're set. I think they're in good shape. I want to get you guys' thoughts. I want you guys to come in here. See a lot of wild takes on the timeline. A lot of people jumping off the ship because they had an off. They had an off game. They played poorly. Like there's really no, like I don't think that's shocking to anybody. I don't think I'm breaking any ground there. They played poorly and they lost. Okay, now we move on. now we try to play better on Saturday night. I would be surprised if Florida State doesn't come out and play better on Saturday night. I was actually just chatting with somebody. I think that Florida State plays a tougher team on Saturday night coming up than they did this weekend, but it's a better matchup. How about that? Is that an okay take? Are we allowed to say that? A better team in NC State? Like, I think NC State's better than Wake Forest. Maybe not. Maybe they're just very, very close. But I do think that Florida State matches up better with NC State than they do Wake Forest. So let's get some of your thoughts. Let's get some of your questions. Hit my DMs, hit the chat here on YouTube, hit the share button, subscribe, all those things. Let's get after it. Let me give some shout outs real quick and we'll get underway. We'll get going here. Let me give a quick shout out to Gramco, thegramco.com. My green apple gummies were delivered this morning. Not on any just yet because I need to go for a run here in a minute. But green apple gummies just hit the front door. You guys go to thegramco.com, use TJ25 to get 25% off at thegramco.com. If you haven't tried the green apple gummies, get after it right now. You guys know the watermelon, the blue raspberry, the fruit punch, all that stuff is great. I know Richie's had his green apple gummies. You guys got to hit him, see how they are. I'll try some a little bit later, but you guys got to go to thegramco.com. Try the green apple gummies. Get after it. Use TJ25. You'll save 25% on your order. All right, let's get after it. Die hard FSU fan. I'm always a little bit leery of adding folks that don't have a profile picture, but I'm giving this a shot. So don't make me regret it here. How's it going there? Oh, they dropped off. I guess they were a little bit leery of speaking. I set that up really well for them to come in here and get some takes off. Again, do me a favor, guys. Hit the share button in the bottom right-hand corner. I gave the Gramco ad, and he didn't want to chat. All right, so Wake Forest, we'll talk about that. Anybody that wants to speak, jump in here. You're more than welcome to. If not, I'll just keep ranting, and it'll be a short space. Wake Forest game, yeah, I think you were just off. I think you played poorly. I don't really buy – I said this yesterday on the podcast. I don't really buy the whole loose focus thing. I think that was just JT kind of being a little nice. I think it's easier to say you lost focus than you just were kind of off a little bit. Offensive line was off. The injuries certainly don't help. His accuracy wasn't great. We had some drops. Running backs couldn't get much going. Obviously, Trayshawn did fairly well on the day. But I don't buy the loose focus thing. I don't really think that was what the issue was. I think it's more of just like they were off, and that was kind of the coach speak for it. Wake Forest played really well. You know, Wake Forest is the team that is going to take what you give them. Florida State's tackling wasn't great. And I just think that at the end of the day, Florida State's scheme on defense doesn't match up well against a Wake Forest team that is going to just nickel and dime you the whole way down the field. Sam Hartman's going to be perfectly fine with 6, 7, 8-yard tosses down the field. And you saw an offense that's more efficient than Louisville's. Louisville's more about the big play, whether it's Malik making big plays or just whomever. I think you saw a Wake Forest team that just is going to nickel and dime you, take you down the field. If you don't capitalize and don't tackle, they're going to make you kind of look silly at times. And that's essentially what happened. Offensively, I was most surprised. I didn't think that the offensive line would kind of get handled like they did. I know the injuries were a problem, but I thought the way they blocked against BC was kind of a good omen. I didn't think that Wake Forest's defensive line was going to be able to dominate our defensive line like they did. That was a little bit upsetting. That was kind of frustrating to see. Again, I don't know that was expected at all. I think that the injury to Robert Scott is something that's concerning. Getting him back kind of as quickly as possible is a must, because both of these defensive lines that we're going to see this weekend are better than Wake's, right? Like, you know, it's kind of like, is BC's better? Is Wake's better? I don't know, right? Like, could go either way. I know that NC State's is better. I know that Clemson's defensive line is better. So that's really big to me. If they can get him back this weekend, Mike said that he got some work in. I have a few lines out right now to try and find a little bit more out there. But yeah, if he doesn't come back, I think that makes things very difficult on the offensive line. I think Mike is going to have to almost assuredly like scheme some pretty crazy stuff up, because yeah, the offensive line issues are a lot of why Jordan never looked comfortable in the first half. Man, I felt so good after that first drive. I was even tweeting like, I love this offense. And yeah, I just, from there, it just didn't go super well, right? Jordan's fumble was big. I understand the missed field goal was big, but the offense just sputtered. And, you'd hope that they can get some of that worked out. I think that Wake Forest was probably the worst matchup left for Florida State. I think they'll play teams that are better. Again, I think both Clemson and NC State are better. NC State maybe just kind of like put them as equal. But I think that was probably the worst matchup that Florida State could have seen. I think that was the best quarterback that Florida State sees for the rest of the year. And we'll kind of see from now on, right? Like what they're able to respond with. I think that was the worst game that Florida State's played on the year, just as a whole. All right. Like I thought that, offensively pretty poor to only score 21 against Wake. It was very similar to last year's game where you were very close, but no cigar. Got down into the red zone a few times and just couldn't come away with points. You miss a close field goal. You've got a 1st and goal from the 4 that gets negated because of a hold. You get down there again inside of the 20 on the last drive and get pulled back because of an illegal man downfield. Very similar to last year where you drove on them. You had some good drives. You had some things kind of popping, and you just could not put the nail in the coffin. Whatever cliche you guys want me to use. You could not finish it off, could not find a way to get in the end zone, and it cost you, right? If you are able to get in the end zone at the end of the half and not rely on the field goal, totally different game. You go to the half down 7, you're in great shape, right? You came out and scored immediately in the second half to answer their touchdown. And it had been a 7-point game. And I like Florida State's odds at that point. Going down 28-7 was tough. Even though we scored right away afterward, I thought it was pretty tough to go down that way. But I will say, I'm not big on the moral victory stuff. I understand that we, kind of made some jokes about that this weekend. I'm not big on that, but I will say the team does fight. The team does, even down 3 scores and went on an 85-yard drive that was pretty impressive. The team does fight. They never quit. They never give up. I think they were fighting down to the end, and you're one play away, kind of a microcosm of the entire game, but you're one play away from that thing getting really, really interesting if you can knock a pass away, which, credit to the Wake kid for making a great catch. Johnny Wilson's made a couple of catches like that over defenders. Sometimes what's the Marshawn Lynch? I know I'm going to get got, but I'm going to get mine more than I get got or whatever, so I butchered that, but unfortunate. If we get that ball back right there, Doak was absolutely rocking at that point. I like us to go tie it up, right? Maybe even go for 2 and go for the win. I wouldn't have cared. That'd have been fine with me, but the team fought back. Just too many mistakes at the end of the day. From the fumble to the missed field goal to penalties. Penalties killed drives. I know a lot of people complain about the refs. I don't know. I think that, there were some PI calls both ways that people are upset with. I think that Wake does a really, really good job of playing those situations to get those calls. I think that their wide receivers do a good job of coming back through the defender to where the ref has to call that, and they're coached really well to do that. And I don't think our wide receivers necessarily do that very well. It's kind of a weird non-football type thing to ask a coach to implement, right? Like, I need you to coach the guys to get more penalties, but I do think Wake does that really, really well. And so, they made those plays. At the end of the day, that is part of the game. I do agree that there were some penalties that were missed by the refs, but I still thought we made way too many mistakes, and I'm not putting it on that. So, all right, let me give a quick shout out to Garnet and Gold. Then we'll get my guy Smoke A1 on garnetandgold.com. You can use code SPACES15. Hey, Doak is going to be rocking in 2 weeks. If you order now, you'll get your order well in time But as time goes on, if you watch this on a replay or something like that, you can go to garnetandgold.com. You can support our athletes through NIL. You can get stuff from Fabo. You can get stuff from Jordan Travis, Akeem Dent, Amari Gaynor. Several of our softball players have attire and stuff with them. So shout out to Garnet and Gold, who continues to support our student athletes. If you need gear, if you need anything for your tailgates, if you need anything at all that's got the FSU logo on it, you should be shopping at garnetandgold.com. If you use code SPACES15, you can either pick it up in store or get it shipped to you. So local Tallahassee folks, you're covered too. SPACES15 will save you 15% at checkout. Not only does Garnet and Gold support our boosters, they support our athletes through NIL, and it is the only place you should shop for Seminoles gear. Everybody in my house went threaded up and ready to go with Garnet and Gold gear this weekend when we were at the game. It's actually the only way I go to the game now is decked out in Garnet and Gold stuff. So shout out Garnet and Gold. SPACES15 will save you 15% on your order there. Smoke A1, how's it going, my man?
What's going on, TJ?
How you doing?
I'm good. What's up, No Nation? Just wanted to check in real quick. I usually just sit back and watch. Few takeaways from the game. I'm a defensive guy, so I'm kind of wondering, like, when are the DBs? Well, when are the cornerbacks going to click? The safeties, they do their jobs, but it's like whenever there's a one-on-one throw up, back shoulder pass, we either get a PI or it's getting caught for a touchdown. And it's like, this is good. This is a common theme of Florida State. It's like our DBs, our cornerbacks just aren't making the play. They're right there in place to make it. They just don't make it. And we're a Greedy Vance interception away, a Ronaldo Green knockdown in the end zone away from, making the game look a little bit better. But, I mean, that's one of the things I feel like we got to, I don't know. Is it the coaching, the players? Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I appreciate you jumping in. Appreciate those that do sit back and listen, but the folks that jump in here and chat a little bit makes this thing go a little bit better, in my opinion. I think I said before the season that the position group that I wouldn't say they were concerned, but the position group that concerned me the most on defense was our cornerbacks. I felt really, really good about other positions, and I think what I was kind of hoping and kind of banking on was that if every other position group really stepped up and played super well, that their potential weaknesses would be minimized. And I think that your players are what they are at this point, right? Like you're not gonna, you could see guys take leaps, you could see guys take a step forward. I think you may see a little bit more of Azariah Thomas going forward, who's super athletic. What you get though with young guys coming in is sometimes you get some of the good and the bad, right? You get some of those freshman mistakes, but you also get some of those crazy athletic plays, and you kind of let them grow into it. I wouldn't be shocked to see, him play a little bit more, some of the younger guys play a little more. But yeah, I think that, not to excuse the play from any one unit, but I do think that what I was banking on with that unit was having guys like Fabian Levitt and Robert Cooper and Jared Verse getting after the quarterback and creating a lot of pressure so that those other guys weren't so relied upon, so that those other guys weren't like needed to make spectacular plays. And if they could just do their job and be in good position, but you got guys like Cooper and Lovett and Verse getting after it, the impact of those guys not being the strength of the defense wouldn't be felt as strong. So I think at the end of the day, like those guys just kind of are what they are. I mean, they were in good position. I mean, like kind of you mentioned, right? Like I know that I've got a video dropping tomorrow morning about Fuller and kind of my thoughts around that. But they were in good position. Like Vance was in perfect position for that interception, right? Like Bernardo was in good position on that back shoulder. Like they just didn't make the plays, right? Like, so I don't even think it's not on Woodson. It's not on Fuller. They were there. The guys were in position to make the plays. The guys just kind of are what they are at this point. And Wake's got some talent, right? Like Wake's got the best quarterback we're going to see all year. Wake's got some talent out there on the edges. And so I think you do kind of have to tip your cap to him. Had Verse and Lovett been there, are things a little bit different? Are you able to kind of get a little more pressure? Are you able to take some of that pressure off those cornerbacks who, again, I wouldn't call them a weakness, but they are probably your biggest concern as a position group on the day. So I don't know. I think that if we're healthy up front, it makes those guys in the secondary look a lot better because you're getting after the quarterback with 4-man fronts. You're stuffing the run, which gets them behind the sticks and makes your job a little bit easier as a secondary. So I don't know if that answered the question or if that just sidestepped it, but that's kind of my thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. And never want to call anybody out. Just point out plays. Go Noles. We're beating NC State this week. I hope everybody enjoy their weekend.
Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for tuning in. I like it, man. I'd really like to beat NC State. I'm all about that. And if I'd have told you beforehand, like if you could either beat Wake or NC State, I mean, I don't think anybody would have been like, oh, we got to beat Wake or we got to lose to this. Let's just split with them and see what happens. Alan, what's going on, man? You sound like you got a lot going on over there.
I'm sitting on my excavator on top of a pile of dirt, and where am I at? Vero Beach.
You're always moving dirt, my man.
That's how I make a couple of dollars, man, moving dirt.
I appreciate it. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a little disappointed in the game, much better play in the second half, I thought. But I think we had our chances, just a lot of mistakes, a lot of dumb penalties. And for the love of God, we got to get a fucking kicker.
Yeah, that's that. Mike Norvell sounded a little bit different when he was talking about it today, and some of the beat writer. I didn't actually watch the press conference, so I didn't hear it. So I guess I'll say I read that he sounded different. But yeah, it sounds like he, maybe he's always said like, "This is our guy, this is our guy, this is our guy," and this week said something about like we'll kind of evaluate things. We'll look at that position. And so I don't know. I think that if there was someone out there that they had confidence could actually kick, and I'm not trying to disparage a kid, but we'll just kind of talk about it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward what's going on. If they had confidence in anybody else, I would be surprised that Mike's just like intentionally not doing it. I just wonder if there's just like literally no one else. He said he made all his kicks in practice last week, which I don't think Mike Norvell is just going to go out on the podium and lie about that. I don't. No media members called him out on it and said like, yeah, that's not really the case. So if he's making them all in practice, I don't know, but yeah, his confidence just seems to be shot. I thought that was, I didn't even know if I loved the decision to kick that field goal there going into the half, but I did think he was going to make it. I thought like, oh, well.
At the end of the game there, let's forget the 50-yarder. What the hell is he doing? He won't let him kick an extra point. Why he letting him try a 50-yard field goal? That didn't make no sense.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting call. I mean, I thought you were at like a less than a 1% chance to win that game either way. So I don't know. They just hadn't moved the ball at all on that series, right? Like it was, 4th and 15. Then you take the delay, and so it's 4th and 20. I didn't have a lot of confidence in picking up that first down either. But yeah,
our first series, man, they come out like their asses on fire. And then somebody put them out with a water hose. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was frustrating. Minor setback. How do you feel about NC State?
You ask me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think we're going to win the game. There's something about that team that you know as well as I do. The last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, they would have quit.
Yeah.
Fair and square. And they played down to the last second. Came back, got close. And they seem to have some kind of grit. And maybe they listened to all the headlines and read all how wonderful they were. And maybe this will wake them up a little bit. And they'll come out more focused. We need Lovett. We need, and we need Verse really bad. See what happens with that. What about Mastromanno? Can he kick a damn field goal?
Man, it's surprising to me again that they haven't tried that. And so maybe that's a little bit telling that he just doesn't have that motion. Like he hasn't done that. Maybe, I don't know. If somebody else has, different insight on that, I don't know if the kid kicked in high, at a different level or something like that. But, Australian. So he's like kind of got that, soccer kind of style. So
you want that pass for Clemson, that parking pass?
Maybe. My kids aren't going though, so I might just Uber the game. I'll let you know. Dude, Alan's got a heck of a parking spot, y'all. Alan, you gonna be up there, right?
Yeah, we'll be outside. I park in the motorhome lot, so I never use that pass. But that pass, those passes that lot are nice because it's your pass. Where you get, no matter what time you get there, that's your spot.
Yeah.
And if you get there and somebody's in your spot, they got to do with the record. I've seen it. The guy parks next to me in that spot. Somebody parked in his spot, and the guy come by in the golf cart. Wasn't 5 minutes. Dude with the records there. card gone.
If I don't use it, we'll give it away here on the Spaces or on YouTube or something.
There you go, man.
That's a good spot, y'all. I took my kids.
To do that.
I took my kids this weekend, and it's like the paved lots right beside the Unconquered statue, and it's just easy in, easy out. It was
you can throw a rock to the stadium from where you park at.
Wow, that was really cool. So we'll give that away. I probably won't use it. I'll let somebody else.
Yeah, I'll be in the motorhome lot. I will know Tuesday. I'm in A lot. I'll know what space I'm in on next Tuesday. But let's definitely try to hook up, and you can have a beer with us, or whatever. We'll shake hands or something.
I'm with it. Appreciate you, Alan.
All right, buddy. Take care, TJ. Thanks for all your hard work, man. You do a great job on Bill's show, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Everything.
I got to get back on there this week and lie about the team, so I'm with it. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man.
Yeah, that's a good spot. Yeah, we'll give that spot away. That's a good deal. Again, I'm going to be in Tallahassee, so I'll probably just Uber to and from the game that day. It's a good spot. Appreciate Alan. Alan's given that spot away the last couple of weeks. Gave it to a good friend of mine whose grandmother was going to the BC game and just couldn't walk a super long way. So shout out Alan. Shout out good people. Hey, we got a tailgate coming for that Clemson game. I should have that dropping tomorrow. So if you're coming, I'll say this. If you're coming to the Clemson game and you need a spot to tailgate, hit my DMs right now. I'll save everybody's messages. Dude, somebody just DM'd me and said, "Are you the TJ in all the Elon Musk text messages?" I don't know what that means, but I hope not. I guess I hope so. Yeah, I'm just gonna say yes to this guy. Dana, hi there. Are you the TJ in the Elon Musk? Yeah, I'm gonna say yes to that. I got a tailgate coming. If you're coming to the Clemson game and you need a spot to tailgate, shoot me a message. We'll get you added to the list. We'll get you info on that. Guthrie's will be out there. Graham Cole will be out there. We're going to have a good time. Info on that coming likely tomorrow. I think I have a meeting tomorrow morning just to kind of confirm everything, and we'll look forward to that. I know my guy Joshua's coming. Let's get Brent on here real quick. Brent, before I get you on, I do want to give a quick shout out to Salomon Digital Marketing. Missed the reaction show. I tried to connect a couple of times, and just the service right by the stadium was really, really bad. I promise I wasn't skirting the loss because I've been on here like 3 times since then. But service was really, really bad. And, right next to the stadium, I couldn't get it to connect to spaces. And then once I got on those back roads on I-10 and stuff, just couldn't ever end up connecting. So I wanted to give a special shout out to Salomon Digital Marketing. Their CEO's name is TJ. Great first name. I'm a big fan of it. But he does a ton to support our student athletes through NIL efforts. He's done deals with Jordan Travis, done deals with AJ Duffy, and he's got more stuff in the works now. If you're looking for a way to give back and a way to support, you can super follow him here on Twitter. I threw a tweet of his just up in the top of the space so you can see his account. You can super follow him on Twitter. And with that, all money from the super followers will go back to NIL deals with Florida State athletes. He also kind of comments on some of the deals, some of the different things that are going on, kind of give you a little bit of inside info if you are subscribed or super following him, give you some NIL insight of things that are coming, things that are about to be announced, how things work, a little bit of a behind the scenes look there. So really, really appreciate him. He's a booster. He gives back to our NIL efforts. He's just trying to do a little bit of different stuff to help out our kids. So would certainly suggest that you just give him a regular follow. He's got great FSU content just in general, but give him a follow. And if you want to kind of give back to our athletes, again, 100% of what you donate there will go back to FSU student athletes in the form of NIL. Again, that's TJ Salomon Digital Marketing. I threw it up in the top of the space. I'll put that link over on YouTube as well, so that if you're on YouTube, once we get off of here, you can go and follow TJ. Again, that's not my burner. It's a different TJ. But shout out to Salomon Digital Marketing. Okay, Brent. Let's get Brent on. I see Miss Jeannie. I see Joshua. Got some DMs coming in. Let's get some different stuff going, and we'll keep going. Brent, what's going on?
What's up, TJ?
How are you feeling?
I'm good. This to me, for the love of God, how many times did we go up to Raleigh and with better teams and come out losing? I think this year is payback time. I think this game is on Fuller, though. We have to come out and be the aggressor on defense. We cannot let them run down our throats and get 2 or 3 touchdowns before we figure it out. We need to score and make them catch up to us. And I think we can win this game, but like I said, we definitely owe them.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that. And I think there have been times where we've gone to Raleigh and like that's just been a house of horrors. But I think that, you even seen like the line move a little bit, right? It came out at 5 yesterday. Right now, Caesars is showing it at 3.5 for NC State. So I believe this about football in general, especially like big time football, like the NFL and your high level stuff in college. You're never as bad as you were last week, and you're usually never as good as you were last week either. Like teams ebb and flow. The unfortunate thing for us is that NC State just lost to Clemson. I kind of wish they'd have won that game. So, and be coming off of a win as opposed to a loss. It's just kind of the same thing with Wake, right? Like I would rather have Wake coming off a win as opposed to a loss and looking to rebound. But I do think the team will play better. I'm not all that impressed with NC State. I do think they have a lot of talent. I think they're a good team, but I don't expect, I don't think that they just blow us over or anything like that. Like I thought we played them really, really well last year with like 10 guys that didn't practice and without a starting quarterback. And so, yeah, I haven't made like a pick for this game just yet, but I'm leaning towards really liking the Noles in this game. So we'll see.
Can you correct? I don't think Jordan Travis has played against NC State yet. It might be, and people don't want him to run, but the North Carolina game plan, with as much as they crash down, if he could keep it some, I think, and then hit him with some passes off of that, could really work in our favor. Because I don't think he's played. He didn't win at Chubbas 2 years ago, and then last year he was sick.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. He did not play in the 2020 game. 2019 was Blackman. 2019 was Alex Hornibrook, if you guys remember that. Yeah. And we beat the heck out of them that game, 31-13. So yeah, no, he hasn't. I thought that some of his pulls, some of the times that he pulled the option kind of looked awkward. And I think that, I don't know if like they're telling him not to run or if it's a confidence thing or what, but I do think that needs to get kind of ironed out a little bit and straightened out. But yeah, I think that him using his legs in this game could be huge and could be really, really big.
I mean, I like I said, something's been wrong if they're just afraid of him not getting hurt. But if you watching NC State, they're crashing down. And if he can bust a couple, I'd really feel good. And then you can, that'll slow them down. Then you can take those shots downfield to Wilson, and which I like. I really feel like if we're aggressive on defense, I mean, I'm not scared of Leary at all, really. I really like our chances.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lower scoring game. I think that if you can hold NC State to like 24-ish, I think you have a chance to win, right? Like I think you get Florida State to about 28. Certainly, I think last week to me was kind of the race to 35, and obviously Wake got there, right? Got closer than we did. So if either team was going to get to 35, they would have won the game. To me, this week is the race to 30, right? If either team gets to 30, maybe even 28, then I think they'll win. So I like it, man.
Actually, if the BC defense will showed up for BC in the second half, I really like Wake. I really like our chances.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, and they play like that. They did in the second half, and hopefully Verse will be back. And do you know if Lovett's coming back? Or have you heard anything on that?
I think Lovett will be back at some point. I don't know if it's in the next 2 weeks or not, which is obviously when you'd like to have him the most. But if you can get him healthy for that stretch run at the end, where I think you're better than almost every team down there, it's kind of pick what you want there.
I mean, if we can steal this game, and then we can go into Clemson with a bye week and just play, with house money. But winning those games at the end, Florida and Miami, would be huge and really kind of set the tempo for next year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Brent, I appreciate you, my man.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, I got a good DM from Panama Knoll. I'll get Josh on and then Miss Jeannie, and I see Max in here. 4th and 15 is pretty near impossible with a line that's struggling. Kicking the field goal makes it 1 score with an onside kick following. If he makes the kick, his confidence goes way up. If he misses it, again, not really a big deal because the expectations for winning that game at that point were pretty low. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that, I actually thought he struck that field goal pretty good, missed it, but most college kickers are missing that field goal anyway. And so I don't think it was like, Fitzgerald's confidence is shot. I think it was a 55-yarder. So I don't love taking the delay there. I don't know that he would have made it even without the delay, but I that's the part I don't love, right? So I didn't really have a problem with the field goal attempt there. I understood the logic. You were still counting on a onside kick recovery, which what are you on that? Like 4 to 5% chance of getting that back. So you're talking, and then you got to go score. I mean, you're still at that point talking about maybe a 0.5% chance of winning the game. So yeah, I was pretty okay with that field goal attempt. I understood the logic there. You're talking about a 0.5% chance to win the game in general. Might as well see if you can boost his confidence with a 55-yarder and give yourself a chance at the onside kick. If you had converted on that 4th and 20 or 4th and 15 or whatever it was, there was only like a minute and a half left. Like you'd have probably ended up using the minute and a half that was on the clock trying to get down there and score the touchdown. Like you had to leave yourself some time on the clock to put together another drive after the onside kick. So you could say whatever you want about Fitzgerald or his confidence or making that kick, but you did have to leave yourself some time. So, I mean, best case scenario, they convert on that 4th and 15. And then what is, you've got 30 yards to drive at that point, try to put together another drive. Well, say best case scenario, that takes you a minute. So now you've got, an onside kick. No, there was only a minute 9 left at that point. Right. And so I think it was a fine choice to kick that field goal. You had to leave yourself a little bit of time after you recover the onside kick. So I don't really squabble with that too much. Joshua, what's going on, my man?
Man, just getting through a Monday morning, boyish for me. But yeah, man, I hear a lot of people keep talking about Fuller, and I understand a lot of aspects of that. I really do. But we also can't forget that guys were positioned to make plays. I mean, Bernard Agree, if his arm was down an inch, he's going to knock that ball out of the end zone. Was it Greedy Vance that got out-jumped in that 3rd long?
Yeah.
It was right there for an easy pick. I have that correctly. But, I mean, there was guys that would make plays. We just didn't make them.
Yeah, you also were missing probably your best 2 defensive linemen. I mean, I know Verse played a little bit, but you were missing the anchor of the middle and your best edge rusher, right? How much does that change things? I understand that we think like, coaches should just be able to plug and play, but like you're talking about 2 guys that are probably going to play in the NFL, like not being on that defensive line. If you have those 2 guys, how much easier does that make Fuller's job, right? How much easier does that make the defensive back's job? So,
for sure. And Cooper doesn't look healthy either. I've heard a lot of things. He's banged up quite a bit. He just doesn't look the same. And that was the only thing that was discouraging, watching a team basically gash at the middle. And I know that the yards per carry wasn't big, but it seemed like every time they needed the yards, they were able to get them. And then they were bouncing off tackles, which is something we haven't seen this year, really. Yeah,
the team was situationally bad. Like the defense was bad situationally. Gave up too many 3rd downs. Gave up too many. Just missed way more than they should have.
That was really fucking biting me was that it's 3rd and 12 and we're giving them soft coverage and they're just dropping the ball underneath for 13 yards. It's like the DBs didn't know or just had too much cushion off where the first down line was, and they were literally getting the first downs by a half a yard every time. It's not like they were just gashing us down the field. So it's like I understand they have really talented receivers. Our DBs are some of them are really good, some of them are starting to get experience, but to sit there and just keep giving those up, and after the defensive line holds them, and we get 3rd and 13, and they're just dropping the ball underneath and just getting those for 14 yards, which is super frustrating and raised my alcohol consumption for sure.
Yeah, it seemed like on a couple of those that were like 3rd and 11 or 3rd and long, like you said, they'd throw it for 6 yards, and then we'd miss 4 tackles, and they'd get 20 yards out of it, and you're just like, okay, guys, what are we doing here? So yeah, no, frustrating on that side too.
Yeah, man, but the encouraging squad is, again, like everybody, I think Will mentioned, they fought. We know the last couple of years, down 21-7. We thought, and especially them coming out and scoring right away, we're like, okay, this might be a 56-10 game, and we're gonna just be, everybody's gonna talk about that. We're not here. We're not, extending all those different aspects. For them to even fight and come back was very encouraging. Of course, we came short, which is, I guess I'm still upset about it. It's been a couple of days, but I was so excited for this game. But there's a lot of good things and positive take out of it. And there's a lot of good, things that kind of find some bright side of the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you would like to learn lessons in wins, but if you're not able to and you have to learn a lesson or two in a loss, then I think you try and take that and you try and get better, and we'll see how they respond. I will say this team has done a great job over the last 2 years of responding after things like this have gone on, right? Like you lost a game. You got beat. Like you were the more penalized team. You probably got outcoached. You certainly got outplayed. You were probably the less healthy team. All those things added up and you lost. Okay. So you kind of rebound from that and see what you do next week. I don't.
Exactly. And again, I'm not going to do the ref thing because it's kind of cliche by now. We already know about the ACC refs, but some of those holding calls were atrocious, or lack of holding calls. That one that I think Seminoles posted on McClendon, where he's clearly getting held, where they broke to the outside and went for like 20-something yards. It's so visible and the ref's staring at it and they just don't call anything. And yet, what do we get? 11 penalties?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. But it's all good, man. Look, we got a big opportunity. Hoping the boys show up on Saturday. Can't wait. I'll be sitting there with my kid, yelling at the TV, trying to, hold back my language because he's 1.5 and repeats everything now. So, going to be cheering on Saturday, going those, and looking forward to meeting y'all the following Saturday in Doak, man. I can't wait. I'm still, I'm always going to be super hyped for that, but I'm just even getting more and more hyped as I get closer to it.
Heck yeah. Appreciate you, my man. Can't wait.
All right, man. You have a good one. Thanks for doing this again. Take care.
Thanks, buddy. Let's keep it moving, Miss Jeannie. Yeah, excited to get back to Doak for Clemson weekend. Had a good time with the kids this weekend, but that'll be a kidless weekend, so that'll be a ton of fun. Miss Jeannie, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
A little disappointed after the game. I did try to listen while I was driving home to see if you were doing a space or anything. But yeah, that reception was awful.
It's so hard. It kept telling me, it kept timing out and stuff, and I was like, all right, well, I quit.
Yeah. So, I sit down pretty close to the field by the goal line where the band is and Renegade and the students are. And so it's loud almost always where I am. But otherwise, the stadium seemed kind of flat. Were you up in the Champions Club?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that had to do with just the fact that, they did. I think Wake did a good job of taking the crowd out of it. I thought he got loud late, once Florida State kind of started to fight back. He had some big third downs and stuff like that. But yeah, the air was definitely out of the building once we got down by, we played basically the whole second half down 2 scores, and so
right.
Yeah, I think that, I think it was a lot of shock too, right? Like you've seen the offense just do kind of whatever they want, whenever they want for the entire season. And then, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. This is not how this is supposed to go. So yeah, you're not wrong there.
We had, and then Jordan and Tate and somebody else were kind of playing catch in front of us. And I kept thinking, I wonder if Tate's coming in, because Jordan, the ball wasn't whipping. Usually you can, if they're doing that right in front of us, we're close and you can hear the catcher, you can hear the pop into their gloves, and you couldn't hear that. And so he just seemed off the entire game. And also Jared versus 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 5 on some of the goal line stands, there was so much miscommunication and 5 wanting to come off. And I think, is it Leonard? That's coming in to relieve him.
Yeah.
They were it was one of those am I on? Am I off? And I kept thinking, we're going to get a 12-man penalty. So, he was playing his heart out, and then, it just didn't seem like the next play he was going to be ready or able to go. So good for him for playing so hard. And I'm hoping that he's really healthy. Back to the fans, even though it got quiet, I really think we showed up and showed out. I think I heard it was a 69,000 fan count, but I go in gate B, and I've never seen that line that big. I mean, I had those tickets 20-something years. I've never, ever been that far back in that line. The scanners weren't working or something. So finally, this one gate lady just said, hold up your tickets in the air, and if I can see a ticket, you're going through. And they weren't checking our bags. They weren't doing anything. I mean, because it was already after 3, and I'm normally in the stadium by an hour before kickoff. So I think there were a lot more people there than even that number showed up. So I was really proud of the fans for showing up. But we have to be louder, and we have to be engaged. I'm not a big fan of the wave when we're not winning. It's like, back in the day when our defenders were playing hangman on the sideline, yeah, let's do the wave. Let's have fun. But I'm not a big fan of that when we're not winning. And I don't know. I just didn't think that was very situationally aware of the student section. They know better. They shouldn't be doing that. So I know that's, I'm get off my lawn on that, getting old, but I don't like the wave. But the last thing is, I wanted to say was, I write this down. I always go and stand by the Bobby Bowden statue. I encourage anybody who wants to say hey to the players and good game, especially after losses, to go there. It's on I guess that's the west side of the stadium. Everybody should know where the Bobby Bowden statue is. But go and say hey and say good game, especially after losses. And when I went over there were hundreds of people there too. So I'm proud of our fans. I'm proud of the support that we're showing. And I really think that's going to continue on, and the team is going to be feel supported going up to NC State. And I did watch the pressers earlier. I heard Mike say he believed in the kicker, that he could make those kicks during the game. I didn't hear what he was talking about in the future. About him evaluating that position. But man, I mean, we've had Gano and Hopkins, and before that, Sebastian Jankowski, and then the Aguayo brothers. I mean, I guess it was time for us to have our little dry spell with the kicking, but today's the freaking 30th anniversary of one of those awful games that I'm not going to mention, with kicks going different directions. And I can't live through games that come down to kicks. I know it never really comes down to a kick. I know it's everybody, but I want to see some recruiting on kickers and going better. Or let's get some people from if there's an intramural soccer team, or there's somebody, we just need some walk-ons. I don't know. So anyway, but go Noles, and I love our team, and I'm going to support it no matter what.
I appreciate you, Ms. Jeannie. I love the take. I think that we do get really wrapped up as a fan base, and this is not just FSU fans. This is everybody in general. And we'll go for a few more minutes. I'll get Max on here. I'll get OC or O Cobbs. Yeah, I'll get a couple more people on here. We got here. I do think as sports fans, we don't do a great job of keeping that perspective high. It's really easy to sign up for Rising Spear when you're 4-0. It's really easy to increase your booster membership when you're 4-0, or when you land a Hakeem Williams, or you land a Blake Nicholson, or just whatever, right? Like when the good things happen, it's really easy to go support. So shout out to the people that did go over to the Bobby Bowden statue. That is the northwest corner of the stadium, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to support after positive things. It's really easy to go increase your booster membership or your Rising Spear donation after a win. It's really easy to go say hi to the players and high five them and get pictures and all that stuff after a win. It happens less after losses. Like, who in here went and increased their booster membership after being upset about the loss on Saturday night? I mean, I didn't. So I'm preaching to the choir. Who went in and gave an extra donation to Rising Spear after the loss on Saturday night? I mean, I didn't. So again, I'm preaching to the choir. I hope nobody thinks I'm talking down to them. But important perspective, important things to kind of remember, right? Be part of the solution, help where you can, do what you can. But I know a bunch of people went, and I saw it on all over the timeline, and increased their memberships to both the Boosters and Rising Spear after BC, after Louisville, after LSU. I'd be interested to know what those numbers and figures and things look like after BC. Actually, I'm not even that interested. I just know they were lower. So I would say shout out to those that support even when the times are tough. I think that's kind of like the true mark of like why you're supporting, what you're supporting for, and things like that. So shout out to people that, like Miss Jeannie, did go over and try to high five the players and tell them good games, stuff like that after the game. Would love if people kind of put that into practice with their wallets too. And it'd be cool if you lost a big game and a bunch of people just say, okay, well, I'm going to go give a $50 donation to Rising Spirit because I want to get better. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy for thinking that. I know that's not how our minds work. I know that as humans, that's not how we think, but it would be cool to me if that was the case. Maybe I just need to practice what I preach and I need to go make a donation right now. Max, what's going on, my man? Max, I see you came off mute, but I can't hear you. I'm going to boot Max and bring him back in just a sec. Sometimes when you're on hold for too long, it kind of times out. Cobbs, let's see if I can bring you in. How's it going, my man?
Hey, what's up, bro?
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I was looking at the game and, I was just thinking on everything about it. Wake Forest was always going to be a shootout. Listening to everything, we already knew that. My thing with it is, yes, the offense did start off slow and put us kind of in a bind, but I have a problem with sometimes like we talking about the DBs. I heard y'all talking about them on there, but the alignment and playing so far off. Like playing a team like Wake Forest that have Hartman, who's been there for a long time and having like 39 super seniors. Like I don't get it. That you're not even making Hartman's job hard at all. You know what I mean? Like even early in the game when Jerry Jones was beat, he missed a throw. Like I don't understand if it's third down, we can't have them having like 80% percentage rate and stuff like that. So I was just kind of confused with the alignment of the DBs of the corners actually, and just giving them those easy downs. You can't do that with guys like Sam Hartman or even next week with Leary. Like those guys are experienced quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're really good, and we made their day look way too easy. I don't know how easy it actually was out there, but it looked really easy, didn't it? It didn't look like they had to like struggle for much or struggle for anything. When we did look like we had a chance to get them down on a 3rd and 8, and they throw it behind the sticks, they'd break tackles. I don't think the defense was the biggest problem on the day because, like you said, Wake was going to get theirs. I think the offense, struggled. But, yeah, like the defense wasn't good either. The defense gave up a lot of stuff on Saturday, and they were able to make a couple of plays in the second half and keep it interesting and keep Wake from just, like, running it out to a crazy score. But, yeah, you're not wrong. That first half, the defense was just absolutely miserable. And it really, you needed one of the two units to like pick each other up, right?
It's usually the offense. So sometime during the season, we're going to need the defense. You know what I mean? We're going to need the defense to step up. Because Mike, the offense been, we've been off the charts, even with the receiver grades and the running backs. Like nobody even expected our offense to look like that. And I'm not blaming everything on Fuller and that, but Mike can't just, Mike gonna need somebody to help him too.
Yeah.
Can't just every week have an elite offense.
Yeah, I agree. And if you could have gotten either one of those units to show up in the first half,
we win that game.
Yeah, you probably have a great chance. If you go to the half.
And my next question is, bro, about this is, I just got in out, you probably said something, but I feel like Wake Forest. I feel like NC State is a better team than Wake Forest, but I feel like Wake Forest was the worst of matchup. I think we match up better with NC State, but I know they got a real good D-line, so it's going to depend on how offensive line look. And like with Devin Leary again, he's an experienced quarterback who don't turn the ball over more. So we're going to have to play a cleaner game this week too. So we're just going to have to see how that goes.
I think you're spot on. I think I said that too. Like exactly what you said is right. I think NC State's probably a better team. They've got more talent, but I think they match up. We match up with them better, and we'll see kind of how that comes to fruition. If we can't stop their defensive line, though,
yeah, boy, it's gonna be a long day like last week.
it'd be tough. And I think that has a lot to do with why you saw the offense struggle, because Jordan just never looked comfortable back there.
He didn't step in the pocket or nothing,
Yeah. So it's can that offensive line get a little bit more healthy? Can you get Scott back and give yourself a chance against a good defensive line that NC State has?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go after this, but how you feeling? How you feeling about everything? How you feeling about the matchup? How you feeling about, we've been struggling going to NC State since what? You Bobby Bowden, so I don't know what to think. I'm optimistic, but man, Riley, we always, no matter who the coach is, we struggle up here. So hopefully, we get a break this year.
Yeah. So North Carolina State's on a 2-game winning streak. The last time that we won in Raleigh was 2016. So it's been some time, right? It's been 6 years since we won up there. I don't know. I honestly feel like optimistic about it. I feel decent. I do think the team will play better this weekend. I have nothing to base that on except for watching them respond really, really well, and Mike do a good job of getting the team up after they've gone through bad stuff. Like, I think they've done a good job of getting up for games over the last, however long, right? Since the 4-game losing streak. I think that the team will be ready to play. I think that they'll be amped up. They'll be looking to prove that last week was a fluke. And I think it'll be a close game. Like, I don't think either team runs away with this. I think it's going to be a close game down to the end, and we'll see if Florida State can come out on top. I think there's less pressure. I do think, an aspect that nobody's really talking about is that last week there was a lot of pressure. You're at home. You're the favorite. You're supposed to win by 7. You're back, all these things. And now you're supposed to go on the road and lose, right? Play loose, no pressure. Go out there and see what you can do. If there's less pressure and the team does play slightly better, and if you can get a little bit more healthy, like if Jared Verse is a little bit more healthy this week than last week, if you can maybe get Robert Scott back this week that you didn't have last week, then I think the team would be in a really good position and they'll have a shot, right? Like, I'm not going to predict, Florida State's definitely winning this game, but I feel pretty good about it.
Right, and I love how Mike called the game. He's been doing excellent. All I know is we better see more phase in the red zone with Johnny Wilson. Like, we gotta get more of those.
Yeah, I think you have to exploit your strengths for sure.
That touchdown looked too easy. He's 6'7", man. You gotta, I don't want to wait the third and go like when we did with Louisville. I don't want to wait till we absolutely need it. Just go first down. Just go up there.
Yeah.
If it don't work, do something else.
Yeah. No, I'm not in disagreement there. I think you got to get after that more often for sure.
But I'm gonna let you go, man. I just wanted to, just talk about that. Y'all have a blessed day.
Appreciate you, my man. Somebody asked me about that fade, and I do have a take on that because they were asking about the field goal specifically. Let me add Max, and Max, just come in here on mute, and then I'll let you speak, and we'll get out of here. Somebody asked, why didn't we throw the fade when we kicked the field goal? And that to me was a little bit different. So it's 1st and 10 from the Wake 11, and we had been running the ball well. We had just the 2 plays before that. Toa Philly ran for 4 yards and then 7 yards. So you had kind of been running well on them. And I don't think you throw a fade on 1st and 10 from the 11. The idea behind that would be that you're literally needing to throw a 25-yard fade at that point, because you've got a fade from the 4 is much different than a fade from the 11, right? Because Jordan has to take a 3 to 5 step drop because you have to have enough time for Johnny to get 15 yards down the field, right? Because he's got to be 11 yards of field and then 5 yards into the end zone to be able to go up and catch it. So then Jordan's throwing from about the 15-yard line, the 15, 16-yard line. He's throwing it 5 or 6 yards deep into the end zone. So you're talking about a 20 to 25-yard pass. That's not really you can throw it up, but that's not really an optimal spot to throw a fade because all of the defense is just shadowing his way anyway. So I actually like the call on 1st and 10 to just try and run it. You had run with some success. You got it down to the 9. You only got 2 yards, so you didn't execute there. But if you could have gotten that ball 4 or 5 yards down the field, and then you're taking the snap from the 6, then I think you might see that 2-step drop and throw the fade to Wilson. Or you run it for another couple yards, and it's like 3rd and 3 from the 4, and then you kind of see the fade call. So when they lost yardage again on 2nd and 8, and it was 3rd and 10 from the 11, we tried to go over the middle to Cam McDonald, but I don't necessarily think you can throw a fade on 3rd and 10 from the 11-yard line. Like, I just don't think that's feasible. There's too much defense. So anyway, yeah, I agree. I'd like to see him thrown up to him more, but I just don't know that you can really, I don't know that you can really do that. So anyway, Max, how you doing, my man?
What's up, dude? Yeah, just to get a little even nerdier. So like the idea of a fade, I know people kind of like it's the fun one to call for. The idea of running a fade with a tall receiver is you want to run it in a short enough distance where their cornerback can't get to a full sprint and can't jump as high because he doesn't have the momentum on the coverage. So once you get to like 12, 13 yards, then you've got a guy at full speed, and then that 6'7" height advantage gets a bit more negated because they're going to be able to go up for it too. Like you want Johnny Wilson standing as close as
Did we lose Max?
Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Cut out just a little bit.
No, sorry, but yes. So real quick with the Fuller thing and playing off is we don't have the athletes, guys, to play man coverage. We just don't. And we don't have the safeties really to help them if they start to get beat. So I know it looks bad on paper, on camera, but you're playing off because what that long mesh does is it gives them a lot of time to make you question run versus pass. And the reason Wake does it is because it lets them have longer developing routes than 99% of RPO schemes. So while you think, yeah, okay, he's 10 yards off him, if he tries to play press there and gets his eyes caught in the backfield, well, instead of a 12-yard gain for a first down, it's a 35-yard gain down the sideline. Secondly, in the run, the closer you are to the receiver, the easier you are to get run blocked. And we don't have the most physical guys on the outside that can shed blocks. So putting them in a sure run situation up in a press is almost going to hurt them as much as it helps them if they can't get off that block, because now the receiver doesn't have to get out to them to block them, and they've got no space to read the run. So I know it looks really bad on camera of like, why aren't we pressing more? But the reality is, in my opinion, we just don't have the athletes to play press coverage. And the best we can do is keep guys underneath us and hope that, you can stop them and make it 4th and 2 instead of 1st and 10.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, I just think Wake is a really, really terrible matchup for us. And I was thinking that defensively, and I was thinking that our offense could do a little bit more to kind of mitigate some of that. And you could just kind of get into a shootout and be a little bit better against their defense. My kind of prediction for this was that Wake would get theirs on offense, and our offense would be better against their defense than their offense would be against our defense. And that just wasn't the case. Like, Wake did everything I expected. Like, I wasn't shocked by anything that Wake did. I was shocked that our offense struggled against their defense. And I guess I didn't realize how bad the offensive line would look. I mean, that, it's all kind of one up front and trenches and stuff like that. But that's kind of what surprised me about the game. Otherwise, I don't think I was too surprised by anything. I thought Wake would kind of get off at times. I tweeted this, but if you'd have told me Wake was going to score 31, I'd have really liked our chances. I thought 35 was a lock for us. I think the over-under kind of spoke to that too. What was the over-under for this game? Did it do 63 if I remember correctly? 68. So, yeah, Wake's project. Yeah. So, if the over-under is 68, 37-31, they kind of, and the spread finished at 6. So, they kind of expected it to be a 38-31 type game. Well, Wake got their 31. We just didn't hold up our end of the bargain offensively. And like I said, we got close a few times, right? You add the missed field goal. You add the one when we were 1st and goal from the 4, but he gets negated due to the penalty. There's 10 points there. Take away Jordan's fumble and add that to our score. Score late at the end of the game. Whatever you want, right? Like, the path was there. We just made too many mistakes and couldn't get it done. Really struggled defensively to stop them as well. But, it was there. All right, Pat, I'm going to let Pat in here. Pat, my guy, went to the game. Hopefully had a good time, Pat, despite the outcome. Let's give some shout-outs, and we'll get out of here. What's going on, Pat?
Hey, what's going on, man? So, as you know, I was at the game. You don't really get every detail when you're watching the game. So, after going back and watching, highlights and, condensed game footage and yada, 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 I feel pretty good about, what our coaches did, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm watching, man. It's like the one where I don't want to bash players, but the one where we all know which corner it was. He got one caught on his head, and we were only down 7. that was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8.
Mhm.
You know, and then there was another one where it was 3rd and 7. They ran a curl for like a 5-yard completion. We had 2 guys miss the tackle. I think coaches were doing a more than decent job of, putting us in position to make plays to win the game. I mean, hell, there was also, they caught a touchdown we had one of our DBs in their lap. I just made a hell of a catch. So, I mean, we're in position to make plays. But I also think that now it's getting to the point, we're almost to the midway point in the season where what's on the field is you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. It's time to start rotating some other guys in. You know what I mean? If we got corners that can't make plays, that's why you signed A.Z. Thomas and Sam McCall. We're not getting pressure on the inside. You signed 2 D tackles this year. If they're not ready to go in, I don't know, man. But same with the offensive line. You signed, all these linemen. If Robert Scott's hurt and somebody's not getting the job done, let Armella play. It's getting to the point now where same with the kicker. I mean, Jesus, we got to have a walk-on the team that can go out there. But we're to the point now where we don't even want to try extra points. It's getting scary.
Yeah, no, I'm not in disagreement there. I honestly kind of agree with you on the offensive line. Defense, I do think, yeah, I mean, it's the same situation on both. I agree with you on the offensive line. I don't know that I love the idea of, Armella having to come in and cut his teeth against NC State and Clemson. But I do think that you might try and get him a couple of looks, right? Like you might try and get him in a little bit, rotate him in to see kind of what that looks like, because I do think he could potentially hold his own in some of the later games in the year. He is an absolute monster. Like he walked by me again on Saturday, and that kid, like he's bigger than like everyone else. Like he's bigger than all the other. He's so big.
He's massive. So is Daughtry Richardson. I mean, like this O-line class, Sapp and Woody, like these are some big guys. These are the future of the O-line, and I don't want to stunt their development by putting them in too early. Like you said, going to NC State and Clemson, those are great D lines. But I mean, if the guys you got out there are getting beat, what's the difference at that point? Like the corner, man, the corner play that we saw. And I get it. Wake Forest has some feisty wide receivers. They were doing the same thing to Clemson DBs, but I mean, Fuller. I've done a lot of harping on him over the last couple of years, but I mean, hell, he can't strap up and go out there and make plays. All he can do is put these guys in position.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's like we've always said. Like I hate the cliche, but yeah, it's who's on the field, not necessarily what's being coached, right? Like I think your athletes are going to be what dictates it, and so yeah, I think you might see some youth movement type stuff. You could see more of Azariah Thomas, and yeah, I think you have game after game after game, and so some of that DB stuff's going to happen. Yeah. Some of that offensive line stuff's going to happen too. But
it's going to happen, man, because I definitely have us winning 3 more minimum. But if we want to go 8-4, we're going to have to steal one of win the UF. Gonna have to.
Yeah, you broke out a little bit, but I saw you tweet about this, so I'll say it for those that couldn't hear it. But yeah, Pat says he's got us winning 3 more. I think that'd be Miami, Louisiana, and Georgia Tech. Going to have to steal one of the last 4 to get to 8-4, right? So that'd be NC State, Clemson,
yep, that's it.
Syracuse, and Florida, which I think they can do. I mean, I'm not out. Like I think you almost have you still have a path to 9 wins. If you steal this NC State game, go on the road, get an upset, I think your path to 9 is still very strong, because I think at that point the path to 9 is just splitting with Florida and Syracuse, right? If you
100%, I agree with you there. Yeah, if we win this weekend, then game day will be in tally next weekend. And 9 wins is on the table, and everything's all right. It was like I said, we've got to make a few tweaks on the field, man.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Pat, I appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, brother. Hey, shout out Garnet and Gold. I got some gear on Saturday, man. Place always delivers. Good seeing you as always, and go Noles.
Go Noles, buddy. Garnet and Gold always does deliver. That's a great way to say it. They literally will deliver, or you can pick your order up in-store if you live locally and don't want to pay the shipping. GarnetandGold.com. You can use Spaces 15 to save 15% over there. TheGramco.com. 25% off your order if you use TJ25. Go try those new green apple gummies. I'm going to get one in after my run today. So I'm going to let you guys know how they hit. how the flavor is on them. I love green apple flavored stuff. It just reminds me of being a kid. I guess if you're eating gummies at all, it kind of reminds you of being a kid, but big fan of the green apple. So excited to try those. And then Salamo Digital Marketing. Again, they give back to our athletes through NIL efforts. Their CEO, TJ, threw a tweet of his up in the top of the space. Go give him a follow. Again, if you super follow him, all proceeds from that go back to our NIL efforts, go back to our FSU student athletes. We're going to be doing some giveaways with him, so stay tuned there. Give him a follow. It's the tweet up in the top of the space so that you're aware of some of the giveaway stuff that's coming. We were able to give away some tickets to the Clemson Champions Club stuff, our Clemson Champions Club game through Rohan Law, so appreciate their support. But we've got more giveaways coming. I've never sat in my season ticket seats. I gave them away this week again. I think I am going to sit in them for the Clemson game for the first time ever, but gonna probably give away those for the a lot of the season too. So, guys, thank you for hanging out. I know the result wasn't what we wanted, but I think this was therapeutic. I think we needed this. We're gonna move on. We got a fuller video dropping tomorrow on the YouTube, so go find Double Fries No Slaw on YouTube. Check us out there. We'll be back Wednesday to preview the NC State game. We'll talk to you guys Thursday and Friday. We'll do Spaces one of the 2 days. I'm not quite sure which yet. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you need anything, shoot me a DM. If you're coming to Clemson, shoot me a DM. Want to get you over to the tailgate. Want to have a good time for that. So appreciate you guys for hanging out. Talk to you guys soon. Love you. Go Noles. Again, if you're here on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Go Noles.